Good evening, everyone. I would like to call the meeting of Council for September 12th, 2022 to order. First, I'd like to acknowledge that we are located within the territory of Mi'kmaq, the unceded ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people. At this point in time, I'd just like to make a statement on the passing of Her Majesty. As you've noticed, flags at Town Hall and all town-owned facilities were lowered last Thursday, September 8th, to mourn the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. Queen Elizabeth II was the longest-serving monarch. She became queen in 1952 at the young age of 25 and proceeded over Britain and the Commonwealth, including Canada, for 70 years. The Queen visited Sackville several times, and most recently in 1985 as part of New Brunswick's bicentennial celebrations. She attended an event at Macaulay Field, followed by an afternoon tea at the Marshlands Inn. And of course, this past summer, we celebrated her Jubilee this past summer with another afternoon tea at Marshlands. Many stories were shared, and one story that I have is former Mayor Will Campbell and Barb Campbell were attending that ceremony that day in '85, and a young lady by the name of Erin Campbell presented flowers to the Queen. And Erin is a well-known business person in our community to this day. And also, I had the experience in 1976 of being a member of the Boy Scout troop here in Sackville, and there was a Boy Scout jamboree at Wollastook Park that took place in 1976 in July. And I recall lining up with other Scouts as the motorcade drove through the Wollastook Park to witness the Scouts there. We will be hosting a book of condolences in the upstairs lobby of Town Hall. Residents are invited to sign and share their memories of Queen Elizabeth. The book will be located in the upstairs lobby of Town Hall here starting tomorrow and accessible between 8:30 and 4:30 Monday to Friday, and it will remain in the lobby until September the 20th. The Queen witnessed many historic moments throughout her reign and gave her life to service for her country. She was a steady and reassuring presence for the people around the world and will be deeply missed. So I ask you now to please stand and join me in a moment of silence to remember Her Majesty. Before we continue, I just want to indicate Councillor Dietz is joining us virtually this evening. Councillor Dietz, I see your camera is not on right at the moment, so when you do speak or need to speak, just please put your camera on. Also, Deputy Mayor Black sends his regrets. He won't be joining us this evening. So I'll look for a motion to approve the agenda as circulated. Moved by Councillor Tower. I have a second by Councillor Evans. All those in favor? Contrary minded? The motion is carried. We'll move on to questions. Any questions from the public here this evening?
Good evening. Regarding the suspension of Councillor Finney's pay, why was the motion passed at the July 12th regular council meeting different from the motion in the minutes for that meeting? And just to clarify, at the meeting, councillors passed a motion to suspend, I quote here, remuneration paid to Councillor Finney, but the July 12th minutes say remuneration and benefits paid to Councillor Finney. So why the difference in wording?
Thank you. Mr. Burke?
Thank you, Mr. Wark. We've looked into the matter. We've talked to a legal representative on this, and I guess the commonly understood legal definition of remuneration includes includes benefits. So what's happened, I guess, is that we've got a little error in the minutes that were approved, although the meaning of the motion doesn't change. So council, if they so wish, they could change pass a motion to simply acknowledge the error in the current minutes and make sure that it gets corrected for housekeeping purposes only. But for the matter of, what pertains to Councillor Finney, the decision of council doesn't change.
So if I hear you correctly, you're saying that the July 12th minutes as written need to be changed.
Mr. Burke?
Yeah, I'm not convinced that they actually need to be changed, because I guess the understanding and intent of the motion doesn't change whether they get corrected or not. It's simply a housekeeping issue. The council can choose to correct if they so wish. There have been instances in the past, in speaking with the clerk's offices, where we've made a note in the actual minute book, so there's a clarification on what transpired, just for in the event that somebody were to ask many moons from now. But ultimately, that's up to council.
Thank you. I did attend that meeting, and I left with the impression that it was Councillor Finney's pay that was being suspended. And the reason for that is the wording is remuneration paid to Councillor Finney. But medical benefits, for example, are not paid to the councillor. It's in a premium that goes to an insurance company. And so that wording, remuneration paid to Councillor Finney, is very misleading, and no wonder people, the public, not knowing any better, concluded that it was 2 months of pay that the councillor was losing. So how is it when you say remuneration paid to, what conclusion would any member of the public draw from that?
Yeah. I guess at this point in time, Mr. Works, an indication has been provided in regards to the differences from the recording to the minutes. If council wishes to see those adjusted or changed, council voted on a motion that evening. I wasn't here, I would have to presume council understood what was entailed in regards to that and the discussions that led up to that. So if council wishes to have those minutes changed, we can entertain a motion to have that updated or that notation in the minutes. At this point in time, council's made their decision based on that motion. And I guess it's their interpretation of the motion at that point in time, and they've made their decision. So I guess I'll ask Councillor Tower.
Thank you. The benefits were mentioned during our discussion,
Okay.
and I didn't agree with that part of it. And when I got the motion to read and it did not include benefits, was the reason why I made that motion. I wouldn't have made it if I saw the benefits were part of it. Now, I understand the interpretations being said to us, but I know that as a councillor, I was told what my remuneration was, or it would be reduced if I took the health benefit that went with it. And so I classified that as a benefit which was passed on to me when I became a councillor. So I didn't agree with the benefit part. It wasn't part of the motion, so that's why I did it.
And Councillor Tower, Councillor Butcher.
Thank you. Merriam-Webster's definition of I can't say it, but I can define it. Remuneration is that it's other forms of compensation. So by saying remuneration, so it seems a bit redundant that in the minutes it adds the additional medical plan. The definition of it includes all compensation, of which the medical plan is one. That's how I see it.
Thank you, Councillor Butcher. Mr. Burke, you had something further?
Yeah, thank you, Worship. I guess just following the conversation, I just want to remind councillors that we did discuss this in camera, and I would caution you about debating whether or not, what was said, what was not said, or one's opinion on the outcome in a public session. If council wants to debate whether or not benefits are included and have a wholesome discussion on that, that's an in-camera item. So we would take a recess, discuss it, and come out and discuss that, any further motions in a public forum.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. Councillor Evans?
Yes, I was going to make that point. Unlike one of my colleagues, I was not going to refer to what was discussed in camera, but I want to make it clear that I was aware of what remuneration meant. And so without alluding to what happened in camera, I concur with what the CAO just said. We should not be discussing that. But it was clear to me what we were talking about, and that's what I vote in favor of. So whether we amend the minutes to reflect what the councillor read next week or not, it doesn't matter to me. If we add the word, it's redundant, but it helps clarify stuff. And so this is why I suppose in legal documents, they often have several words saying they give, bequeath, assign, and all this kind of stuff to make it very clear what it meant. But it was clear to me during our discussion what we were voting on. So I am comfortable with what it is. If somebody wants to correct the minutes, I think that would probably be best in the sense that it would reflect exactly what was said. I don't recall that we saw the written motion. We had a discussion. It was clear to everybody what we were going to do. The motion was read as Councillor Tower read it, and we unanimously voted in favor of it. So there was no mistake about what we did. But what we do now is up to council. I don't have a strong feeling either way.
Hey, Councillor Evans. So at this point in time, would council wish to see those minutes amended accordingly? I'm not seeing an interest. Anybody interested in presenting that as a motion? So I guess we've had the opportunity to discuss it. Thank you for your question, Mr. Wark. Did you have any further questions?
I do, yes. Was Councillor Finney notified about the benefits part of it? Because if he was reading my story, he would get the wrong impression that it was only the pay, and that's in fact what the community believed too.
Mr. Wark?
Thank you, Mr. Work. I guess the sanctions to a councillor is an item for council, so staff doesn't really get involved with notifying Councillor Finney of what the sanctions would be. I can't confirm whether or not a Deputy Mayor Black, I guess, reached out directly to Councillor Finney and explained that to him. I certainly can't confirm that right now.
You.
Thank you.
Hi. Not to belabor this, just one more, I guess, question I had about that same topic. In the past, when a councillor was censured under the Code of Conduct, or when Councillor Finney was in the past times, were his benefits also suspended in those situations?
Well, I mean, in regards to any other sanctions, I mean, those were all public motions. So I don't recall remuneration being in those. I know that there was other things in those that we'd have to go back and look at those particular motions to see, but I'm sure that the clerk's office could probably find those particular motions and provide those to you. But my recollection was that there was, I don't recall remuneration being part of those previous ones, but it would have to be clarified, I guess. So, okay.
So remuneration wasn't part of the previous sanctions? Okay.
No.
Gotcha. One other question, I guess, just as a general policy, if an employee takes an unpaid leave of absence, do they typically have their benefits suspended during that time?
Mr. Burke? Mr. Burke? Yep. Oh, no. Did you want to answer? Oh, Mike. Oh, sorry about that. Mr. Beal?
If an employee takes an unpaid leave, they have to pay their own benefit cost as a full-time employee. So if you're taking leave without pay, currently the town of Sackville pays all benefit costs for all employees, including council. So when an employee does request a unpaid leave for whatever reason, they have to cover the cost of their life, health, and dental cost during that unpaid leave.
Thank you. Councillor Evans, you had something?
Yeah, I just want to follow up. Now, it's moot now because I think we've decided to not revisit the minutes. But in the copy of the minutes, the council unanimously approved. That's what the word said. So Councillor Finney was at that meeting and he said that was okay. So it seems to me that there's no confusion on the part of the people who are involved. If other people are confused, it's not the first time people are confused by the term and pronouncing remuneration.
Thank you, Councillor Evans. We'll move on to disclosure of interest. Any disclosure of interest on any of the topics coming up on the agenda this evening from council? Seeing none? Oh, Mr. Burke? All right.
Yeah, I guess as I said last week, I just want to make sure that it's clear that I am the resident co-owner of property at 24 St. James Street in Sackville, and council will be entertaining a motion tonight with regards to trail work on the property abutting our property. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. So we'll move on to approval of the minutes. So the regular minutes, council meeting of August 9th, 2022. And I look for a motion to approve those. Moved by Councillor Evans, seconded by Councillor Estabrooks. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary reminded. Motion is carried. For the special meeting of Council of September 6, 2022, on page 10 of the package, moved by Councillor Evans. Do I have a seconder? Second by Councillor Hicks. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary reminded? And the motion is carried. There was no business arising from the minutes. We'll move on to the Mayor's Report. Mayor's Report appears on page 14, 15 of your package, and just a couple of items I wanted to highlight. The regional mayors had a meeting in the month of August with the new interim CEO for Horizon Health, Margaret Melanson, as well as trustee Suzanne Johnston. They both reiterated at that point in time is that their goal is to continue to work and collaborate with the community to ensure that the Sackville Memorial Hospital department, the emergency department, gets back to a 24/7 coverage. There's been lots of great things happening in regards to the work that's ongoing, including nurse practitioners being hired, etc. On August 15th, I participated in the first official flag-raising ceremony for Acadian Day in Sackville, with Mayor Bourgeois from Member Cook being present, and also MLA Mitten. Both this year and last year, Mayor Bourgeois invited myself and my wife to attend their activities happening in Member Cook. And also this past Thursday, Mayor Bourgeois invited me to attend the Chamber of Commerce networking event that was happening for the Member Cook Chamber of Commerce over in this past Thursday evening. Also, I just wanted to, it's not in my report, but I'm sure folks are hearing in regards to the Sussex Healthcare Centre facing 8-hour changes. And there's been some work started to happen with Horizon on that. Last Friday, I traveled to Sussex to be there to meet with community members and the mayors of Sussex, Sussex Corner, and Norton, to kind of deliver along the lines with also John Hyam from the Rural Health Action Group participated in regards to the work that's been ongoing here. As I think it was alluded to initially with Horizon, that the project here in Sackville was a pilot project. Obviously, they're seeing some good results, so they're taking the initiative to kind of move forward with this project elsewhere. The thing is that it's community specific. So even though there's some kind of a template of approach, what was reiterated by myself is that this is your community. You need to understand and work towards the goals that for healthcare in your community, because healthcare is not a cookie cutter approach, and it can't be. So. The last thing I wanted to mention was that for the first time, I guess it looks like our province is celebrating Municipalities Week, September 19th to 25th. That's something that the municipal or the UMMB, AFMNB, AMANB, and Cities Association are signing on to. So just stay tuned. I know that there'll be some information flowing through social media and media channels just in regards to what might be happening here, just to point out the work that goes on a daily basis in our community in order to provide service to our community. And was there any questions to my report? Okay. Oh. Okay. We'll take a brief pause. Apparently, we're not live on YouTube right now, so.
Unfortunately, it's not, YouTube's not working, so we'll have to post it.
Okay. Okay. So apparently our feed isn't live, but it is being recorded, so we will post the recording of the meeting after the meeting's completed. I do see Councillor Evans has a question.
Thank you, and thank you for the report. You shortchanged yourself. You're obviously not reporting on everything that's in your report, and I wanted to commend you for your appearance at the corn boil. You spent the better part of the whole time with hundreds of students coming down, greeting them and welcoming them to the town, and that was not lost on them or me, so thank you for that. It was a wonderful event, and you helped make it special.
Thank you, Councillor Evans. As my message says on here, it's important to welcome people to our community, and these are our folks who will be here, and I was thanking them personally for choosing Mount Allison and for choosing Sackville. So, it was a great event, and I'm sure it'll be covered later on. But I appreciate those comments. Thank you, Councillor Evans. So we'll move on to the Cio Report. Mr. Burke, please.
Thank you, Your Worship, and good evening, members of council. My report appears on page 16 of tonight's package. Just to give you a couple of the highlights. As the Worship has mentioned, we were pleased to welcome the Honourable Dominic LeBlanc here to Town Hall on September the 2nd. It gave us an opportunity to have the Minister's direct ear to discuss a variety of projects, including our future climate change related items, such as our Lawrence Street Phase 3 plans, along with our future upgrades to our sewage lagoons. We also use that as an opportunity to talk about the healthcare system and the Sackville Memorial Hospital specifically, the back pay for the RCMP, the Schnectoismus study, and some other matters. So it's always a pleasure when we can host these influential individuals in our own facility and spend an hour or two kind of championing some of our own projects. I don't have anything further on the local government reform topic. I do know that there is an event planned, or a virtual discussion, planned for September the 14th on the statements of public interest, which will help under the land use planning pillars of the white paper. And the Southeast Regional Service Commission presented a draft budget to several of our staff at their facility a couple weeks ago, and I can confirm that Stephanie Thorne and Roland LeBlanc will be here to present the 2023 budget to council at our special council meeting in October. So that will give you an opportunity to hear directly from the Southeast Regional Service Commission and pose any questions to them. In terms of town business, nice to see continuation of healthy financial statements. Tender is now out for the first phase of Lawrence Street Phase 3, which is the quarry. The Civic Center is once again alive with activities. We've got the ice back in. And it was a busy week for our Public Works and Parks and Facilities crew, and along with our recreation folks, as we help with a variety of events, from the Buskers Festival to the Levee on the Lake to the Chalk Festival, and now we've got Fall Fair and Mount A Homecoming right around the corner. So this time of year is always challenging to get everything done with logistical needs that some of these events require, but nonetheless, we're certainly pleased to have the vibrancy back in town with the addition of the students. And then lastly, I guess a bit of a new initiative for us, we're going to be co-sponsoring the 2022 Dalhousie Family Medicine Education Weekend in St. Andrews. Ms. Miller's been working with the Rural Health Action Group to do that, and we're co-sponsoring that event with Mount Allison. So by co-sponsoring, we will be one of the platinum sponsors, and through that, we're able to secure a direct opportunity to speak directly to the delegates, and so that we hope will have a meaningful impact on the future recruitment efforts for our hospital. And then other than that, it's a fairly light agenda. We've got a handful of motions for council to consider tonight, which you'll see as we go through the package, Your Worship, and that's it for me, unless there's any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Beal, you had something?
I just wanted to pass on that the live feed is now up.
Okay.
But it only began the live feed the moment I got it back up.
Okay.
So those that are online will only see from this point forward, but we will upload the full meeting tomorrow.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Beal. Councillor Evans?
Yes, I want to congratulate the CEO for this initiative with the physicians. Anything that can help address our number one issue, attracting physicians to keep our ER and acute care beds open, is a good thing. So well done on that. I'm a little bit confused about the Regional Service Commission budget, and there's a lot of uncertainty in the air, but it's my understanding in the past that there would be a budget developed and the Regional Service Commission representatives would vote on it to approve it. It's my understanding that they were told this year that they would not vote on it, that the facilitator would take the budget to the minister and make a recommendation. But it's not only our budget that is being taken out of our hands and done by people who are not elected by the citizens in town. So you can confirm that that's the case with this budget. It was presented, and then the facilitator will take it to the minister. It was not approved or voted on by the Regional Service Commission Board.
Councillor Evans, that was something that was going to cover in my report, Southeast Regional Service Commission. But yes, you're correct. It was presented to the board. And the board was advised at that point in time that, similar to what's happening with the municipalities, is that, they're looking for that feedback. They're looking for feedback from the board members, from the municipalities, but it will be the facilitator that will take that budget and provide it to the province for approval. Okay. Councillor Fay?
Yes, I was just going to ask Mr. Burke, who owns the quarry? Does the university or does the town?
Mr. Burke?
Council recently passed a motion. I'd have to get the clerk's office to look up when we did that, but we're in the process of closing that property and for the university transfer it to the town ownership.
In the process at the present time?
Okay, Mr. Burke?
Your Worship, if I can. Yes, Councillor Finney, that's correct. We've executed a purchase and sale for the property as per council's instructions, and we're just waiting for the transaction to close and for it to finally be in the town's ownership.
Any other questions from Mr. Burke's report? Move on to the Southeast Regional Service Commission and the Regional Service Commission report, which appears on page 18 and 19. And I'll just kind of touch base. I have provided council with the documents in regards to the budget and also the presentation from the CFO, Stephanie Thorne. There's details within the report that speaks to budget increases over last year for Eco 360 and Plan 360. There was discussion around the mandated services, which will be regional transportation, social and community development, sport, recreation and culture, infrastructure, cost sharing, economic development, and tourism promotion. The working groups involved with this transition and those particular subject matters had over 100 meetings. And what the takeaways were, each service will have a standing committee and develop a regional strategy and baseline with input from municipalities. And the major issues currently identified are workforce, homelessness, and affordable housing. Also, what was indicated is that Mr. Logier has a summary, or there is a summary of the work conducted by the working groups. And so I've made a request to receive that information, and I think there was something I received later today. I haven't had a chance to look at it. I think it might be that information, so I'll make sure to get that to council. And also, we had a presentation at the board meeting from Mike Randall with the Greater Moncton Homelessness Steering Committee and Task Force on Homelessness. And he provided the board with a suggestion for a pilot project and for consideration where social and community development will become part of our mandated services. The option would be more so of a regional level accountability and systems planning entity for the delivery of the funding through that. So his suggestion was that it would be all monies that would come federally or provincially, it would be funneled through one organization and dispersed accordingly, and there would be kind of a chain of accountability that would come back through that. So Southeast Regional Service Commission staff will be reviewing this, and we'll provide any sort of input back to the board. And our next board meeting will be October 25th, Tuesday. Any questions from council in regards to the report? Okay. So we'll move on to the next item, which is Plan 360. The report appears on page 20 in the council package. Ms. Bickford is not with us this evening, so if council has any questions they would like to ask at this point in time, please do, and we can make sure they get back to Ms. Bickford to respond. Any questions to the report? Thank you very much. So now I have a couple of proclamations to read here. So the first is Rail Safety Week. Whereas Rail Safety Week is to be held across Canada from September 19th to 25th, 2022. Whereas it is in the public's interest to raise citizens' awareness of the dangers of ignoring safety warnings at level crossings and trespassing on rail property to reduce avoidable deaths, injuries, and damage caused by instances involving trains and citizens. Whereas Operation Lifesaver is a public-private partnership whose aim is to work with the public, rail industry, governments, police services, media, and others to raise rail safety awareness. Whereas CN has requested Town Council adopt this resolution in support of its ongoing efforts to raise awareness, save lives, and prevent injuries in communities, including our municipality. Therefore, I, Mayor Sean Michaud, on behalf of Sackville Town Council, support CN's ongoing efforts to raise awareness, save lives, and prevent injuries in communities, including our municipality, and thereby proclaim Rail Safety Week to be held from September 19th to 25th, 2022. Also, I have a proclamation for Pride Week. Whereas Sackville's two-spirit, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, asexual, plus 2S LGBTQA plus community is a vibrant and proud group within the Sackville community at large. And whereas the quadrumvirate that collaborates to make Sackville a positive, safe town for 2S LGBTQA plus persons, the town of Sackville, Mount Allison Students' Union, the Mount Allison University's Catalyst Group, and the Sackville Queer Room, and whereas the 2SLGBTQA plus community aims to establish positive educational forums to raise awareness and celebrate the diversity of our citizens, And whereas the 2SLGBTQA+ community recognizes a gay-straight alliance is imperative to the well-being of both societies, and whereas the 2SLGBTQA+ community encourages dialogue as a tool towards a tolerant and accepting society in the Sackville area. Therefore, I, Sean Michaud, Mayor of the Town of Sackville, hereby proclaim September 15th to 24th, 2022, Pride Week in Sackville, recognizing that everyone has the right to live in conditions of dignity, respect, and peace, regardless of sexual orientation and gender diversity. We'll move on to reports and finance and administration. Councillor Evans, please.
Okey-dokey. I'll take advantage of having the microphone to just say thank you for that proclamation. It's not nothing. It's still a big deal. I move that council accept the bills and payrolls for the month of August as follows. General government, $483,026.12. General capital, $226,816.54. Utility government, $61,202.92. Utility capital, $141,970.86. And salaries, $280,820.70.
Thank you, Councillor Evans. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Seconded by Councillor Hicks. Any questions on the motion? I'll call for the question. Question with call. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary reminded? The motion is carried. Councillor Evans.
Okay. The full report can be found on pages 21 to 31 of the package, but I'll read an abbreviated version here. Finance and Administration Liaison Group met on September 8th. Financial statements are included to the end of August, and both general and utility budgets continue to be on track for the year. Capital projects continue to be awarded and completed in 2022, and notes related to the year 2022 are in the report. During the summer, we made an application and obtained cyber insurance for the municipality. This will help financially to protect the town in the event of a cyber attack on our systems. The annual fee for this policy is $5,725 with a liability limit of $1 million. Sadly, these things are becoming increasingly common, and municipalities in New Brunswick have been victimized. In June, a review of outstanding water and sewer accounts was completed. A total of 100 accounts were issued shut-off notices for a total outstanding value of $59,263.03. As of September 7th, we have collected $38,326.37, or 64.7% of the amount. To date, one account has been disconnected, which we understand is currently a vacant property. Bylaw enforcement and animal control reports for August are also included, and we continue to have one bylaw student or student bylaw officer for the summer, whose term will end on September 30th. And as already been mentioned, Town Hall has returned to its normal hours of operation, being Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 4:30, and that's the report.
Thank you, Councillor Evans. Any questions for the finance report from council? Seeing none, we'll move on to tourism and business development. Councillor Hicks, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just getting down to my page here. Okay, so the tourism and business development report can be found on page 32. The Tourism and Business Development Liaison Group met on August 31st. Some highlights from our meeting. We had 2,435 visitors at the Visitor Information Center in August. In 2019, last August, before the pandemic, we had 3,007 visitors. The numbers are not quite back to what they were in 2019, but we are pleased with the increase over 2021, when only 1,121 people visited the center in August. Our inaugural Senior Guide Ambassador program is over for the summer. We'd like to thank the 3 participants and look forward to refining the program for 2023. Our Waterfowl Park artist in residence, Angela Thibodeau, completed a successful residency with a workshop for young people on August 6th and in Artist and Talk on August 12th. We're taking applications for the 2022 Border Town Festival, November 17th to the 20th now. You can visit www.sackville.com/bordertown for details or contact manager Ron Kelly Spurls. The deadline to submit is September 28th. The Envirothon group did a site visit to Sackville in August. They'll be back to town in September to visit Mount Allison campus and continue planning for their 2023 event. Fall passports have been distributed to local businesses. If you spend $10 or more, you will receive a stamp. With 10 stamps, they can get a t-shirt at Town Hall and will be entered into a draw for a $1,000 local shopping spree. Holiday light planning is underway, and we'll have some additional new lighting this fall to add to our existing displays. And lastly, Renaissance Sackful has approved a grant for $4,330 to Sip Express Beverages. A motion to transfer that funding to Renaissance Sackville will be brought forward at this council meeting. And that's my report, Mr. Mayor. I do have a motion.
Okay, I'll just, thank you, Councillor Hicks. I'll see if there's any questions to the report, and then we'll move on to the motion. Any questions? Councillor Butcher.
Thank you. I just have a small question about the T-shirts given out with the passports. I see people around all the time wearing the fabulous T-shirts that were given out before about Buy Local Sackville. So I'm just wondering, will there be a change to the T-shirts, or are they the same as before? Because I think a large number of our population has them now.
Ms. Miller?
Thank you for the question, Councillor Butcher. It is the same design, but different colors this year.
Any other questions for the Tourism Business Development Report? Councillor Hicks, I guess you have that motion then.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council approve the transfer of $4,330 from the 2022 operating budget to Renaissance Sackville to fund one application, Sip Express Beverages.
Do I have a seconder for that motion? Seconded by Councillor Evans. Any questions under the motion? Any discussion? I'll call, Councillor, I looked across and the divider was in the way. I didn't see the light. I have to remember to keep looking here, I guess. So Councillor Evans.
Thank you. I'm just going to repeat what I said at the discussion meeting because I think, at least I hope, we'll have more people participating. This is, let's start. Renaissance Sackville has a really good history of helping businesses start up that have proved to be successful in an ongoing way. So this is one-time funding. But it is also, and this is the thing that makes it a little tough for me, it's also giving taxpayer money to for-profit businesses. So we need to be careful when we do that. We need to have good reasons. And the things I like about it is, as I've already mentioned, we've done this before, helped a new business start up, and they have gone on to be successful. That means they pay taxes and they provide services for people in the community. But this is also going to be a bit of an incubator and allow other small businesses to piggyback on its infrastructure to help get them started well. So that this is why I'm prepared to support this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Evans. Councillor Tower?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I agree with Councillor Evans. This is a great idea. I'm not against using public money if it's going to help bring more businesses or strengthen businesses. In this case, it's helping 3 different businesses. So therefore, I think that we have to now start looking outside that box more often and accept these kind of ideas. We need to increase businesses in town. This is one step. And hopefully the new council, when they come in, they will look for other ways for advancing business into this town. So.
Thank you, Councillor Tower. Anything else, Mr. Burke?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Yes, just to pick up on what Councillor Evans and Councillor Tower noted about I guess, the town being in a position to give money to private businesses. I just want to remind council, I guess maybe put your minds at ease if there is any hesitation, that back in August of 2019, council passed a motion basically instructing Renaissance Sackville to focus on economic development related activities. So I certainly think the grant that's before you tonight is certainly in line with that direction from 2019. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. Anything further from council? I'll call for the question. Question was called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Nay. One nay vote from Councillor Finney. Motion is carried. Thank you, Councillor Hicks. We'll move on to public properties and facilities. Councillor Estabrooks, please.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Michaud. The Public Property and Facilities Liaison Group met on September 1st. The full report can be found on pages 33 and 34 of the package. I would like to share some highlights. First one I'll mention off the top is our order of road paint finally arrived, and painting has started for crosswalks, arrows, and parking spaces. The crew will continue painting as weather and until we run out of paint. 3 new driveway culverts were installed for new houses, as well as culverts on St. James Street and Lawrence Street to help access the new trail system. The town received supply codes for the rectangular rapid flashing beacons. Engineering and Public Works Department recommended installing them at 2 locations that have restrictive sight distance. Suggested locations are Main Street at Charlotte and Queens Road at Fairfield Road, and there may be a motion coming to that effect. Asphalt resurfacing of various streets is scheduled to be completed by the end of September. Costin Paving is to advise when they will return and complete Ogden Mill Road and the parking lot at Lilas Fawcett Park. Public Works also started repairing gravel roads. Anderson Marsh Road, Johnson Lane, and 2/3 of the High Marsh Road have been completed, with other roads to follow. Schools started back up on September 6th, and this year a new orientation was completed for the crosswalk guards, which was well received, to get them thinking about safety for themselves and the children at crosswalks, a more intensive orientation, I should say. The town posted on social media to get drivers thinking about slowing down in school zones and around crosswalks. 2 other points from Public Works. Englobe issued the tender for Lawrence Street stormwater mitigation, construction of new outlet dike and control structure, and that tender closes September 15th, 2022. And Englobe also continues to finalize the design and tender package for the sanitary trunk sewer replacement, Weldon Street to Princess Street. That's ongoing. Some highlights from our Civic Center. Horizon Healthcare continued the COVID-19 assessment clinic Mondays and Wednesdays by appointment. The clinic has been moved to the lounge side of the mezzanine at the rink, so when you enter the main entrance upstairs, it's all the way to the right now. And they had a successful overhaul of compressor number 2 prior to ice making starting on the 6th of September, so that went well. On the park side, the splash pad hours have been reduced to 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. due to cooler weather, and I think there was a repair at the splash pad today, I believe, yeah, so that went down and back up. So there has been a timer put on the exterior washroom doors at Bill Johnstone Park, restricting the hours of operation from 7:30 a.m. till 9 p.m. And park staff have moved into the arena for the season, and staff will be out in the parks when time permits doing maintenance. That's my report.
Thank you, Councillor Estabrooks. Any questions to the Public Properties and Facilities report from Council? Councillor Tower.
Thank you, Mayor. It's not to the report itself, and I don't know whether it should go to Mr. Apple or whether our CAO has any more information on when the province plans on doing the bridge on Walker Road.
Mr. Burke.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Tower. I'm just kind of looking at Mr. Apple here across the room, and I don't think we have any commitment on when that's going to be done. We can follow up with DTI tomorrow.
Councillor Tower.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. I had a phone call last week wanting to know whether we had heard something. This is the same one who informed me that the province had agreed to do it. So he thought that they needed a prodding since they have all the extra money they're hanging on to, that they could spur it on. So if you're going to take care of it, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tower. Any other questions to the report? Oh, Councillor Dietz.
Yes, thank you. I don't think this is due to my cold, but I would like an explanation of this one paragraph. One large service was installed at 131 Main Street and observed connection of large services. So I'm not quite clear what that is. I think it's water, but that phrase confuses me. If I could get an explanation of that, please. Thank you.
Mr. Eppel?
So 131 Main Street, we installed a connection to the main and took it to the property line, and then a private contractor for the developer made a connection to that. When connections are made, we observe those and we do sampling and chlorine testing to make sure that it's satisfactory before it's put into service.
Thank you, Mr. Eppel. Thank you, Councillor Dietz. Anything further from council? Councillor Esbrooks, you had a couple of motions.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Michaud. I actually have two motions. The first one is our road salt agreement for the year. So I move that council approve the bulk salt supply agreement with Windsor Salt for the 2022-2023 winter season in the amount of $79.09 per metric ton for approximately 800 to 1,200 tons of road salt, and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign and seal the agreement.
Do I have a seconder for the motion? Seconded by Councillor Evans. Any questions or discussions under the motion? I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Contrary reminded? And the motion is carried. Councillor Esbrooks?
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Michaud. Second motion, I move that council approve the new trail work at the town of Sackville / Ducks Unlimited compound on St. James Street and award the work to Beach Hill Landscaping in the amount of $21,250 plus HST.
Do I have a seconder for the motion? Seconded by Councillor Tower. Any questions or discussion under the motion? Councillor Dietz?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Mayor, last week, I think I asked whether there had been a discussion with Ducks Unlimited as to that trail on top of the dike, and I just wanted to follow that up. Thank you.
Mr. Eppel?
There has been conversation with Ducks Unlimited, and they are supportive of this, and they're excited that this is proceeding and had been waiting for it.
Thank you, Mr. Eppel. Councillor Evans?
Thank you. I'm just going to follow up on what I said last week. I had suspected that that's what this was about, so I took it upon myself to investigate and walked the path that the new trail will take, and I can confirm that we need to do the work to make it easily walkable. But it's a lovely spot where you can be right downtown in a couple of minutes, be walking out in a wild area. It's a real treat. So this adds to the retention pond. The retention pond is positively civilized compared to this. This is very natural, but you get to walk around the perimeter, and it's just a really nice addition to our trail system and park system in this town. So kudos.
Thank you, Councillor Evans. Nope. Okay, I thought I saw Councillor Towers' light on, but I guess not. So okay, great. I'll call for the question then. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary reminded? Motion is carried. Thank you, Councillor Estabrook. Move on to recreation programs and events. Councillor Butcher, please.
Thank you. The report can be found starting on page 35, and the Recreation Programs and Events Liaison Group met on August 29th. As always, there's so much going on and so much to report on. So even condensing it, there's still a lot. I'll try to condense. So summer programs have concluded, And over the summer, we offered 22 different programs for all ages with over 2,200 participants. And we had over 4,000 people take part in our 14 different town-hosted individual events between June and September 1st. Those were including concerts in the park, the National Indigenous Peoples Day, the Street Chalk Festival, the Walker Road Trail Run. Lots of great things have been happening over the summer. Fall program registrations are beginning. You can go to www.sackville.com/programs. Current opportunities include seniors aerobics, aquasize, a parenting workshop, and adult ultimate frisbee, and more programs will be added soon. The manager took part in an accessibility mapping project of Sackville section of the Trans-Canada Trail. So that information will be shared publicly soon on the Trans-Canada Trail website. And the first Sackville Buskers Festival, which was hosted by the Sackville BIA, thanks to funding from ACOA, that was held from August 11th to 14th on Bridge Street, was a very busy weekend, and the performances were well attended throughout. The Street Chalk Arts Festival took place August 26th and 27th, and it attracted hundreds to our downtown, while a dozen artists and several musicians showcased their talents for the public. The disc golf course in Beach Hill still gets plenty of use, and this is crazy, an average of 168 players a week between the months of April and August. So that is a really well-used course. The Sackville Pride Parade, as we heard earlier, will take place this Friday at 5:30 p.m. after a 2-year hiatus. And stay tuned for other Pride Week events coming up. The Fall Fair will take place September 21st to 25th, and it will include Family Day at Lansdowne Field, fireworks, the annual parade, live music, a midway, and more. The full schedule is available online at www.sackville.com/fall fair. Mount Allison Homecoming will take place on the same weekend as Fall Fair this year for the first time in several years. So plans are in place to direct traffic and to cross-promote. And a second installment of the sports subsidy program is now live for the new season. Residents with children registering for fall and winter sessions in minor hockey, skating, and swimming are eligible to be refunded 50% of their children's registration fees, up to $300 per person. And you can apply at www.sackville.com/programs. Community development grant applications for the 2023/24 year are now available at www.sackville.com. Library report, the Summer Reading Club is done for another year, and throughout the summer, the library held over 60 different programs with over 500 participants, and upcoming fall programs include a book club, fall fair events, the restart of the parent and baby drop-ins on Wednesday mornings, all kinds of things happening there. And that is my report.
Thank you, Councillor Butcher. Any questions comments from council? Councillor Evans.
I want to echo Councillor Butcher's awe at the number of events, programs, fairs, festivals that took place this summer. I say we, but the town has done lots of good stuff for a number of years, and I sometimes worry it's going to be tough to repeat, but it really blew people away this summer. I heard people saying, there's something going on, there's something big going on every weekend. I mean, that's a nice complaint to hear. And I just want to reiterate the corn boil. It is such a wonderful way to welcome another cohort of students to this town. When the weather is fine, and it is, I don't know how Matt does it, but I believe every corn boil we've had in the last 10 years, the weather has been good. It's a wonderful first impression, and it's that party atmosphere, free food, music, getting greeted by the mayor. It makes it a very special beginning and a nice sort of end to the summer. So it's a wonderful job again this year.
Thank you, Councillor Evans. Anything else from council? Thank you, Councillor Butcher. Our next item is public safety, and Deputy Mayor Black is not with us this evening. The report appears on page 37 and 38, and not to put Deputy Chief Green on the spot, but is there anything Deputy Chief Green would like to add to the report?
Thank you, Your Worship. No, really, like I said, it was kind of a busy August with 13 calls. We had that one major house fire, which was a little bit of a downer for us, but we did, for that particular call, we did bring in somebody for, it's not stress management, but whatever, that people could talk to that anybody had an issue with it. So it was really good. Everybody took it in really well. So the only other thing I'd like to add in here is that we had a couple tours in the month of August. We had one of the camps from Mount A brought in 40 kids one morning. They're busy. But it was really good. And then we had a bunch of the Massey students here as well. And that's all, those tours always go well. So we look forward to doing those. So other than that, no, I agree with the report.
Okay. Thank you, Deputy Chief. Anything from council to the report? And also, the RCMP report is on page 38, and council was introduced to our new sergeant, Eric Hansen, this last week. And I know that the sergeant is going to be out in the community, and I've seen him actually out in the community and engaging. So we look forward to the working relationship that we have with him, and we look forward to the process continuing for the hiring of the CPO. So. Now move on to policy bylaw, and that would be Councillor Finney, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. The policy bylaw report is on page 39, and the policy bylaw liaison group did not meet during the month of August. Highlights and initiatives: the clerk's office will continue the municipal management training program through the Université de Montaigne and are registered for the next session, strategic planning in the municipal sector. Just a reminder to all residents that all current bylaws, along with council minutes dating as far back as 2013, can be found on the town's website. Our last several council meetings are also available for viewing on the town's website. Upcoming policies for council to consider include working alone policy, the workplace harassment and violence policy, employee computer purchase policy, and gifts and flowers policy. The clerk's office provided one commissioner of oath during the month of August and submitted by Donna Beal, Becky Goodwin, clerk's office. And that's my report, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Finney. Any questions from council in regards to the policy bylaw report? Seeing none. Before I move on, I'm not quite sure. Councillor Dietz, were you going to be raising, you had something to raise in regards to meeting dates. Were you raising that under HR or were you raising it under policy bylaw?
Under HR.
Okay, great. So we'll move on to HR and Councillor Dietz, please.
Thank you. The HR liaison group met on September the 22nd, and there's a few things that I wanted to mention. One is at the end of August, there were 36 permanent employees and 27 summer students. Also, the town of Sackville would like to congratulate employee Andy Finney on accepting the position of utility foreman. Also like to congratulate employee Kirk Reed on accepting the position of mechanic foreman. So that is sort of following the transfer of employee Adam Archibald from the Civic Center to the Utility Department. The external job posting for a 2-year temporary assignment for Civic Center attendant closed on August 26th. The hiring process has begun for that one. And then the external job posting for heavy equipment operator closed on August the 12th. That hiring process has also begun. So this time I read all of those because there seems to be an understanding or thought that there's a lot of job turnover at the town of Sackville and people leaving, which is not the case. Since I started more than a year ago, there has been this kind of snowball effect going on. Somebody moves from one position to another. This is a unionized environment, so people within the organization can apply to jobs internally before they go external. And so this has been having a snowball effect all along. Somebody moves to another position, then another position opens up, yet that new position can't be fully filled because that old position is still available to the person who left that position in a unionized environment. It's really complicated, but that also means that every meeting over the last well over a year now, there has been some movement on the HR front, which is not surprising, which is perfectly normal. Just wanted to mention that. I also wanted to mention that There have been, of course, as always, a lot of summer students that have done a great job over the summer in various capacities, and the town of Sackville wishes them all the best during their academic year. That's my report for HR. I also have something else to raise, which was brought up in the HR liaison group. So as you recall, over the summer, the town of Sackville piloted a 4-day work week, which the council decided at the beginning of that, together with management, that it would be good to move council meetings to Tuesdays instead of Mondays, which would give staff more time to prepare. That's because these long weekends, that was the intent of the shorter work week. And we discussed at the HR committee that both management and us on the liaison committee would like to suggest, if council is so willing, to move there's 3 meetings to Tuesday that are left of our current council term. So I have motions prepared. It may be best, since I'm not in the room, to simply read the motions and then council can discuss instead of having a conversation about this beforehand. Mr. Mayor, is that okay?
Sure.
So I will do that. I will read both motions because they're just about those 3 meetings. I move that council amend the dates of the special meeting of council for the month of October and November to the first Tuesday of the month, being October the 4th, 2022, and November the 8th, 2022. And second, I move that council amend the dates of the regular council meeting for the month of November to the second Tuesday of the month, being November the 15th, 2022. And again, these are just for these dates because after the council meeting on November the 15th, the next meeting will be held with a new council in place. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Dietz. Do I have a seconder for both those motions? Seconded by Councillor Evans for both of those motions. Councillor Butcher.
So I would like to hear from Councillor Dietz or from staff. I understand why it was moved to Tuesdays during the summer when there were the longer weekends for staff. Why do we want to move it to Tuesdays? I mean, frankly, it doesn't matter to me, but is there a specific reason or just that it was going well, so why not stick with it?
Mr. Burke?
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Councillor Butcher and Councillor Dietz. You can feel free to pick up if there's anything that I missed from our HR meeting. It's a valid question. I guess for years we've had council meetings on Monday nights, and there's no real rhyme or reason as to why we've done that. So you become a creature of habit and you continue to do it, and it's not broke, so you no need to fix it and you continue to meet. The 4-day work week, I guess, put us in a position where we had a discussion about it in order to give staff the opportunity to participate fully in the 4-day work week, and council graciously agreed to do that. I guess what we noticed immediately was that having the meeting on the Tuesday gives us an extra business day to prepare in the event that another item comes up or that we notice a mistake in the package or something has to change. It has prevented us from exchanging emails and text messages on Sunday evenings. So it's not uncommon. There are other municipalities that meet on Tuesday nights. And I guess the other thing is it also gives council an extra day with the package. So then council doesn't have to work all weekend and go through that package. You then have an extra business day to prepare and come to the meeting a little more informed. So it seemed to be a win-win all around, and I think that's why you see the motion before us tonight from Councillor Dietz.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. Councillor Evans?
Yeah, well, the CIO stole my thunder. He made the same points I was going to make. The only question I had, and I think it's been answered by the CIO as well, is if there was any reason not to do it, because I really like having the extra time. Provided we still get our package at the same time, it gives us more time, as long as we don't shift that too. But we can have it any day. Why not do it when it's better? The schedule is the same. The time between it's the same, but I really like this. And it's one of these ones, as the CEO said, you just keep doing it because you've always done. And then when someone suggests, well, why do you do it this way? You say, not only is there not a good reason not to do it, but there are several good reasons to do it. So, yeah, I'm in.
Mr. Burke?
Yeah, thank you, Worship. The one thing I failed to mention was the point that Councillor Evans raised was that we have still committed to get your package on Thursdays. So even though the meeting is happening a day later, we've still committed to get the package out on the Thursday before the end of the business day. So you have an additional day to kind of get through the material in advance and prepare for the meetings.
I see Councillor Evans just had a eureka moment over there.
That's right. I did have one idea that the CAO didn't mention, and that's the fact that if this is an issue for going forward, when there are holidays, they typically are on a Monday, and we have to push it to a Tuesday anyway. In fact, why did the motion not say about a meeting, the regular meeting in October? Is it because there's a holiday and it's already going to be on Tuesday? So having it on Tuesday means there'll be fewer changes going ahead. So that's another reason, and the CIO didn't mention it. So there is some small value added here.
Thank you, Councillor Evans. Any further discussion from council under the motions? So I guess we'll do one motion at a time then. So the first motion that was read, I'll look to call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary reminded? The motion is carried. And on the second motion? Question's been called. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary reminded? And the motion is carried. Thank you, Councillor Dietz. We'll move on to the item H, Corporate Affairs and Strategic Development, and that would be Councillor Tower, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The information will be on page 41. The Corporate Affairs and Strategic Development Group met on August 24th. In August, staff attended meetings with EOS Eco Energy, the Regional Service Commission budget presentation, and the Region 7 Steering Committee. Staff also participated in 2 virtual town halls. The first focused on the challenges of off-campus housing, International Town and Gown Association, and the second looked at issues facing the rural municipalities, Shadow Minister of Rural Economic Development, Rural Broadband. Both events included participants from around the world or across Canada and highlighted that we share similar information. I wondered if Ms. Miller could give some feedback on the off-campus housing part, please.
Ms. Miller?
Thank you, Councillor Tower. So the International Town Gown Association, we have a membership that we split the membership cost with Mount Allison. So it's a group of universities and colleges and the town representation from the towns where they're located. And the group, it's kind of they share best practices, issues, common solutions. So they hosted, as mentioned, the virtual town hall looking at issues in terms of off-campus housing, which we were experiencing here in Sackville this fall. So this is an issue that we're seeing all over the world. It's not unique to Sackville and to Mount Allison. So they just looked at and discussed different things that they're trying. So for example, they're encouraging residents to take in a border, that type of thing. So it was just exploring different strategies to try and deal with the issue.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Councillor Tower.
Thank you very much for that. The Climate Change Advisory Committee presented to Council last week on the 6th. And at the meeting, they recommended a 2022 Climate Change Initiative budget to install solar panels on the Bill Johnson Memorial Activity Center, and a motion will follow on that. And the Climate Change Action Advisory Committee is hosting sessions for management on September 28th. The session will explore how each department can incorporate the climate change adaptation and mitigation within their operations. And the recruitment is underway for the climate change coordinator. The posting closed on September 5th, and interviews with EOS Eco Energy are planned for this week. And I have a motion after any questions.
Thank you, Councillor Tower. Any questions to the report from council? Councillor Evans.
Yeah, once again, I'm just going to gush about all the neat stuff that this department has been doing. This is really impressive, and even skipped over the work with the hospital, with the Dalhousie Family Medicine Education Weekend in St. Andrews. This is a lot of really good stuff that's happening, and I'm delighted. And as was alluded to last week when the Climate Change Advisory Committee made a presentation. We are really lucky to have such a capable and engaged group of people giving us advice. So this is good all around.
Thank you, Councillor Evans. Anything further from council in regards to the report? Councillor Tower, you have your motion.
Thank you. I move that council approves the solar installation at the Bill Johnson Memorial Activity Center by Vertec Solar Solutions in the amount of $25,000 plus HST, and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign and seal any required documents.
And do I have a seconder for the motion? Seconded by Councillor Evans. Any discussion or questions on the motion? Councillor Estabrook.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Michaud. I took this one away after the special meeting and did some number crunching of my own. And this is a fantastic opportunity for us to put something with an environmental stamp on it on top of Bill Johnstone Park. The reason I really like this initiative is it's taxpayers' money going into an environmental stewardship piece on the top of that building, and it actually has only a 13.6 year payback, which is fantastic, and it's going to offset costs going forward up to 72% of grid power. So fully in support of this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Estabrook. Anything further from council? Councillor Tower?
Yeah, besides those great savings, we also reduce our footprint in this world, as we will eliminate about 315 tons of carbon dioxide from entering the atmosphere, which is equivalent to burning 121,625 liters of gasoline. So that's another super bonus.
Thank you, Councillor Tower. I'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Before we leave Corporate Affairs and Strategic Development, Councillor Dietz has an update on the Rural Health Action Group.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So a number of items were mentioned already earlier, both in the Mayor's report as well as in the CAO's report. And I'm just going to reiterate, and I think Councillor Evans just mentioned this, the collaborative effort to send physicians and staff to the Dalhousie Family Medicine Education Weekend in St. Andrews at the end of the month. It's really, as the CAO already mentioned, this is a great opportunity and hopefully will have some impact. I'd also like to mention just again, I think, which was also listed earlier, the recruitment campaign is ongoing, and a reminder that this town of Sackville, together with the Rural Health Action Group, developed a recruitment site in collaboration, of course, with Memorial Hospital Foundation and Horizon Health. A couple more updates. Currently, it looks like almost all the registered nurse positions are filled at the hospital, which is good news. However, today, again, we got an announcement of the ER being closed tomorrow, which is unfortunate, but we still have issues and challenges with physicians, and the recruitment effort there is ongoing. I'm going to skip some of the things that were already mentioned. One of the things that the collaborative group between the Rural Health Action Group and Horizon Health, which is ongoing, which the mayor mentioned earlier, Sussex is really interested in. Some of the things that were highlighted is, for example, the accommodation is also spinning off into not just what we heard from Mount A, Masu last week, but it's spinning off into the health care workers as well, that they're looking for accommodations and it's hard to find. I think that's all I have to report. Thanks. And the report I will forward to Ms. Miller, and it'll go up on the Sackville Town website in the next couple of days. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dietz. I just want to further mention that the collaborative part in regards to the recruitment fair that the municipality will be attending along with others from the medical profession. I did reach out also to the regional mayors, and they are taking this to their respective councils in regards to possibly contributing financially to this as well. And hopefully we'll hear back from them shortly, but, it is really a regional effort as well, and a lot of our communities rely on this hospital and the services provided for it, so I just wanted to raise that as well. So we'll move on. I don't believe there's anything under new business. And we'll move on to questions from the public, please.
Yes, I have a question about the new mandated services for Tantramar that are coming from the Southeast Regional Service Commission. And when I add them up, those four items, they come to $55,000, just over $55,000. And I'm wondering, I realize it's for the whole area of Tantramar, but the biggest tax base is here in Sackville. If this is new spending, which I think it is, what impact might that have on the taxpayers here? If we know yet.
Yeah, from my understanding, that was raised at the meeting. We're talking 0.06 cents overall for these mandated services. That's what they were saying. So we'll receive more information. As indicated in my report, the elected officials committee has a meeting coming up with the particular budget, and should have some indication there as to what the tax rates may have to be in order to accommodate. But my understanding is, so it's 0.06 cents is what they anticipate, kind of broad line right across the board for all members of the Regional Service Commission. So.
Just over half a cent.
Yeah, just over half a cent.
Thank you.
Hi there. Just keeping on the Southeast Regional Service Commission budget. You mentioned it was going to be presented October. Any idea if that's at the special meeting in October?
Yes, it is.
And do we know if that's like the final version, or is that the draft that was also presented to the SRAC, the board?
I guess at this point in time, they're still receiving feedback from any of the municipalities, right? So, I mean, there's opportunity to provide that feedback to ensure if there's any further input. It was a draft that was presented to the board, and I presume it'll remain a draft until Mr. Logier indicates that everybody has kind of provided their feedback, and this is the document. But I would say it's pretty. I think it's pretty firm. I don't think there's been much variables or many variables in it that I have seen in the past in regards to that budget. So I would say safe to say it's pretty solid in what it is there, unless there's something kind of abnormal that comes up through their further engagement with the municipalities.
There was mention that Minister LeBlanc was here. I wonder if there's any developments or details that you can share about the Isthmus project. Did he have anything to say about that in particular?
Well, the discussion is really around funding in regards to who the partners need to be. I heard a commitment that the federal government definitely is going to be at the table in this. Percentage-wise, he didn't really say, but they, definitely. But also not just relying on the taxpayers either, like on provincial or federal. That there are some key stakeholders, business-wise, that require that isthmus in regards to moving billions of dollars of goods. So, not sure where that will go, but that was one of the conversations as well. That the importance of places or businesses such as Port of Halifax or CN. Being involved to some degree in regards to this. So those are conversations that we had. I'm not sure where it will go from there, but I know myself have reached out to CN in regards to that to hopefully have conversations around that, plus other infrastructure issues we're having here in the community along the 106 down towards Frosty Holloway. So.
Sorry, what was that you just mentioned there?
Well, we have continuing flooding issues down the 106, right?
Right.
On the way to Frosty Hollow, so.
Gotcha, sorry. I had a question also about Sackville's community plan, and I was wondering, there had been talk about, I mean, we were due for a municipal plan review. Tantramar is happening, so it was going to be sort of a basic, I forget what the term was used, but anyway, it was going to be like a mini review. It sort of seems like we're running out of time for that. And I noticed it said that Tantramar would have a plan review, I think, in 2024 or 25. So I guess I was wondering, number one, when was the Sackville's plan last reviewed? And does that mean that we won't be reviewing our plan until Tantramar gets reviewed as one big unit?
Mr. Burke, when our plan was last reviewed, was it 6 years ago, was it? Or?
I'm just gonna check it again, actually.
I believe it was 2016.
That's what I want to say. It received third reading in January 2016. So the majority of the review was done in the year leading up to that, but the final approval came in January of 2016. And just to get back to your earlier question, I guess, on some of the mini plan amendment or housekeeping amendments that Ms. Bickford had alluded to in one of her earlier council sessions. You're right, Erica, they're literally just run out of time. And I think as Lori got into the details of some of those items, I think she quickly realized that some of the issues that would be before council are going to require extensive public consultation and engagement, and to do that in a meaningful way at this point is just not going to happen. So she's just kind of parked it for now, and then the Southeast Regional Service Commission will pick up the pieces after the November election.
So when you say the Southeast Regional Service Commission will pick up the pieces after the November election, do you think that Sackville will be reviewing its own specific plan as part of Tantramar, and then the Tantramar plan will be reviewed in 2025? Like, do you see what I'm saying there? I'm just wondering if we're waiting now, because that would be 10 years since we last reviewed it if it's 2025. Yeah.
Well, right now, there is no plan for Tantramar.
Right.
There's two community plans, one for Sackville and one for Dorchester.
Mm-hmm.
I envision those two community plans to continue to exist. And the province has introduced, this new potential for regional plans. So the Tantramar region may have its own regional plan. It may be part of a larger regional plan. The jury is still out on what regional planning will look like across this province. But certainly in terms of local planning services, there will, undoubtedly be a local community plan for Sackville and a local community plan for Dorchester. So those two planning documents may not change much at all, but the regional planning that happens around the two, communities will be what's subject to change.
Okay. Don't want to get too deep into it. So it looks like, so what's being referred to in 2024, 2025 as like, that's the date for Tantramar to look at its plan. That would be a regional level plan as opposed to the harmonizing of all like these plans into one plan. Is that sort of what you're saying? Yes. Gotcha. I just have one more quick thing, which is I was wondering if we could find out a bit more about the connection to 131 Main. I also noticed that and was wondering what it was about, because that's an existing property, which I assume was already hooked up to our water system. And it's been habited, like it's been there for ages. So I was wondering if we could get a little more about what that work was that was done there.
Mr. Apple?
Thank you. So as part of the plan development there, which is going through the Plan 360, is to introduce sprinklers in the building. And so it was to install a 6-inch main in order for them to make those connections. And then they would also be altering the way that their water lines are serviced so that they would have those connected off the 6-inch main that's extended onto their property.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So I'll look for a motion at this point in time to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Finney, seconded by Councillor Tower. All those in favor? Contrary minded? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.